I thought marrying Marcus would save me, a kind, successful widower who made me feel loved after years of struggling alone. But the night I moved into his mansion, his 18-year-old son looked me up and down and smiled. Then he said, "Oh wow, looking at you, I don't think I'll need clubs tonight." At first I told myself he was just immature, until Marcus started leaving for business trips. That's when the touching started. The late-night footsteps outside my bedroom, the whispers through my locked door, and one stormy night, he broke into my room drunk. He grabbed my waist and whispered, "I never saw you as a mother. No one would." I truly thought I wasn't getting out of that room alive. But what happened after I called my husband destroyed their family forever. The first time I met Marcus, he looked like a man who had forgotten what it felt like to breathe properly. Not physically. He was still handsome in that quiet, mature kind of way. Tall, broad shoulders, silver beginning to touch the edges of his dark hair. But there was something exhausted behind his eyes. Something permanently dimmed. Like life had happened to him too many times. People assumed I married him for his money because Marcus Hale was the kind of man magazines loved to photograph. Luxury hotels, real estate investments, charity galas where women in glittering dresses leaned toward him hoping he'd notice them. But they never saw him the way I did. They never saw the widower who sat alone at the edge of his own birthday party because the music reminded him of his late wife. They never saw the man who still kept her favorite tea in the kitchen cabinet 3 years after she died, or the way his voice cracked once when he told me, "I think loneliness can actually change the shape of a person." I loved him long before I loved the mansion. The wedding itself was small, private, just close friends, soft piano music, candlelight reflecting against crystal glasses. I remember staring at Marcus during our first dance and feeling safe in a way I never had before, protected, chosen. Maybe that was why I ignored the nervous feeling sitting deep in my stomach. When we drove through the giant iron gates of the Hale estate after the honeymoon, the mansion looked unreal. White stone walls climbed toward the cloudy evening sky. Enormous windows glowing gold from inside. There were fountains near the entrance, perfectly trimmed hedges, and marble steps wide enough to fit an entire wedding party. "This is your home now," Marcus said softly, squeezing my hand. Home. The word sounded warm when he said it. Inside, everything smelled faintly of cedar wood and expensive candles. The ceilings were impossibly high. My footsteps echoed against polished floors, while staff members smiled politely as we passed. I remember feeling underdressed even in my designer coat. Nervous energy buzzed under my skin. Not fear exactly, just the pressure of entering a life so much bigger than my old apartment and normal routines. Marcus kissed my forehead. "There's someone I want you to meet properly." That was when I saw Leo. He was leaning against the staircase railing upstairs, one arm draped lazily over the polished wood. 18 years old, tall, too handsome for his own good, dark blonde hair falling into his eyes. Marcus had shown me photos before, but pictures didn't capture the intensity of his stare. He looked me up and down slowly, not the way a son looks at his father's new wife, the way a man sizes up a woman. Something cold crawled across my shoulders. "Leo," Marcus called warmly. "Come say hello." Leo walked down the stairs without taking his eyes off me. His expression stretched into a smile that instantly made me uncomfortable. Not friendly, amused. "Oh wow," he said softly, almost laughing. "Looking at you, I don't think I'll need to go to any clubs tonight." The air froze. Marcus chuckled awkwardly like it was some stupid teenage joke. "Leo." "What?" Leo shrugged innocently, but his eyes stayed on me. "I'm complimenting her." I forced out a nervous smile because I didn't know what else to do. Teenagers were weird sometimes, right? That's what I told myself. The first few weeks passed strangely. Marcus was constantly busy. Early meetings, business dinners, flights to Chicago, Miami, sometimes Europe. Entire days where the mansion felt too large and too quiet. And every single time Marcus left, Leo changed. It started small, little things, passing me in the hallway and brushing against me even when there was plenty of space. Standing too close behind me in the kitchen while I made coffee. Once, I bent down to grab a pan from a lower cabinet and felt his hand slide across my lower back. I jerked upright instantly. "Sorry," he said with a smirk that didn't look sorry at all. My stomach tightened. Another time, I was reaching for a glass when he moved behind me, and his hand pressed briefly against my hip. Again, that lazy smile. Again, accident. I started avoiding empty rooms, avoiding silence, avoiding him. But the strangest part was how perfectly he performed whenever Marcus came home. "Mom made pasta tonight," Leo would say casually at dinner. "Mom." The word sounded wrong in his mouth. Mocking, sweet on the surface, rotten underneath. Then there were the hugs. In front of Marcus, they looked normal. affectionate. But when Marcus walked away, Leo's arms stayed around me too long. His chest pressed against mine, his mouth near my ear. Once very quietly he whispered, "You smell really good." I froze completely. Then he pulled away smiling like nothing happened. I should have said something. I know that now. But I kept convincing myself I was overthinking it. He was 18, angry, rebellious, maybe. He enjoyed making people uncomfortable because he liked attention, and Marcus looked happy for the first time in years. I didn't want to ruin that, so instead I stayed quiet, even when the mansion no longer felt like a home, even when I started locking my bedroom door the moment Marcus left for work. Marcus left on a Thursday morning. I remember standing at the front entrance, with my arms wrapped around myself, while cold wind swept through the open doorway. His driver was loading luggage into the black SUV, and Marcus kept apologizing for the trip like he genuinely hated leaving me alone. "It's only 3 days, he said, kissing my forehead gently. "I'll barely survive the meetings without you." I forced a smile. "Don't worry about me." But the moment those words left my mouth, my eyes drifted toward the second-floor hallway. Toward Leo's bedroom. The door was slightly open, and I knew he was standing there watching us. I could feel it. Marcus noticed nothing. He squeezed my hand one last time before climbing into the car. The gates slowly opened, tires crunching against gravel as the SUV disappeared down the long driveway. And just like that, the mansion became quiet. Too quiet. The silence inside that house always felt unnatural after Marcus left, like the walls themselves were listening. At first, I tried convincing myself I was imagining things. I stayed upstairs most of the day, pretending to organize clothes or read books I couldn't focus on. Every tiny sound made my chest tighten. The creak of floorboards, distant footsteps, doors opening somewhere down the hallway. I kept my bedroom locked. Still, eventually, I had to leave the room. Food, water, coffee, normal things. That afternoon, I finally walked downstairs to the kitchen, wrapping my cardigan tightly around myself as if fabric could somehow protect me. The kitchen was empty when I entered. I exhaled in relief. But the second I reached for a mug, music exploded through the house so loudly I nearly dropped it. My heart slammed against my ribs. Heavy bass vibrated through the ceiling speakers. Aggressive, sharp, the kind of music that made the entire mansion feel hostile. Then I heard laughing, male voices, Leo's friends. I froze. I didn't even know he had people over. Their laughter echoed faintly from the entertainment room, downstairs while the music continued, blasting like a deliberate warning. You're not alone. I poured my coffee as quickly as possible, trying to ignore the panic creeping into my throat. Then Leo appeared in the kitchen doorway, alone this time. He leaned casually against the frame, arms crossed, watching me with that same lazy smile that always made my skin crawl. "You know," he said, "it's actually impressive." I kept my eyes on the coffee machine. "What is?" "How fast you moved in after my mom died." The words hit like ice water. I looked at him sharply. "That's not fair." "No?" he shrugged. "People like you usually wait longer." "People like you." I gripped the counter harder. He walked closer slowly, his footsteps soft against the marble floor. My dad was lonely, rich, older. His eyes moved over me deliberately. "You saw an opportunity." "I love your father." Leo laughed under his breath. "That's cute." I tried walking past him, but he shifted slightly into my path, not enough to completely block me, just enough to force me close. Too close. I could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. "You must have come from nothing," he continued quietly. "This house probably feels like winning the lottery." My throat tightened. I stepped around him quickly and left the kitchen without answering, but I could hear him laughing softly behind me the entire way upstairs. That night I barely slept. Around midnight I heard footsteps outside my bedroom. Slow, back and forth. At first I told myself it was staff members or maybe my imagination, but then the footsteps stopped directly outside my door. Silence. My breathing became shallow. I stared at the dark room while my pulse pounded so hard it hurt. Then, a soft knock, not loud, almost playful. "Mom?" Leo's voice came through the door smoothly. Every muscle in my body locked. I said nothing. Another knock. "You awake?" I stayed completely still beneath the blankets, too afraid even to breathe loudly. After a long moment, he chuckled quietly to himself. Then the footsteps disappeared down the hallway. I didn't sleep at all after that. The next morning, I tried calling Marcus, but the second I heard his exhausted voice over the phone, guilt crushed me. He sounded stressed already. Investors, meetings, problems with a hotel. project overseas. I almost told him anyway. I almost said, "Your son scares me." But then I imagined the aftermath. The screaming, the accusations, the possibility of Marcus thinking I misunderstood everything. And underneath all of it was something even worse. What if Leo was doing this because he hated losing his father? Marcus had told me before how difficult things became after his wife died. Leo stopped speaking to him for months. They fought constantly. Therapy didn't help. Their relationship was already hanging by a thread. I couldn't be the reason it finally snapped. So I lied. "I miss you," I told Marcus softly. "I miss you too, sweetheart." That evening, things got worse. I was changing clothes after my shower when I suddenly heard my bedroom doorknob move violently. My stomach dropped. I lunged for the lock just as the handle twisted again. Harder this time. "Occupied," I shouted shakily. A pause. Then Leo's voice came through the door casually. "Oh, sorry." But he didn't sound surprised. He sounded amused. I stood there frozen in nothing but a towel, staring at the door while my hands trembled uncontrollably. A few seconds later, I heard his footsteps walking away slowly. Not embarrassed, not apologetic. Slow, like he wanted me to know he had been there. That night, I pushed a chair under the bedroom doorknob before climbing into bed. The mansion no longer felt luxurious. It felt trapped, like every hallway had eyes. And for the first time since marrying Marcus, I started counting the hours until he came home. The storm started just after midnight. Rain slammed violently against the mansion windows while thunder rolled through the sky hard enough to shake the glass. I was sitting in bed with my laptop open, pretending to watch a movie even though I hadn't followed a single scene for the past 20 minutes. Marcus was supposed to return the following afternoon. I kept repeating that to myself. Just survive one more night. The house had been quiet for hours, but sometime after midnight, I heard the front door downstairs slam open. Then laughter, male voices. "Leo." My stomach tightened instantly. I checked the time on my phone. 12:47 a.m. A second later, music burst through the lower floor speakers again, loud and distorted. I heard bottles clinking, footsteps stumbling across marble floors. He was drunk. I could tell immediately. I muted the television and listened carefully. My entire body tense beneath the blanket. More laughter downstairs, then eventually silence, the kind of silence that feels dangerous. I quickly climbed out of bed and checked my bedroom lock for the third time that night. My hands were already trembling. The hallway outside remained dark. Quiet, too quiet. Then, bang! Something crashed downstairs. I jumped so hard my shoulder hit the wall. A few seconds later came slow footsteps climbing the staircase. Heavy, unsteady, coming closer. My pulse exploded inside my chest. I backed away from the bedroom door instinctively as the footsteps stopped outside. Silence. Then the doorknob rattled violently. "Open the door," Leo slurred. I didn't answer. Another aggressive shake of the handle. "Elena." Hearing my name in his voice made my skin go cold. "Go to sleep, Leo." He laughed softly from the other side. "You act like I'm a stranger." The handle jerked again. Harder. Then suddenly, crack! My heart stopped. The old lock partially split from the wood frame. "Oh my God!" Another hit. The door burst open. I screamed and stumbled backward as Leo entered the room. He was soaked from the rain. Shirt half unbuttoned, hair messy, eyes glassy with alcohol. The smell hit me instantly, whiskey, rainwater, and something bitter underneath. He kicked the broken door shut behind him. "What are you doing?" My voice shook uncontrollably. Leo leaned against the door, breathing heavily. "You know what's funny?" he said, laughing weakly. "You pretending this innocent little wife act is real. Get out. You wasted your youth on an old man." His words sliced through the room. I moved backward carefully while clutching my phone tightly behind my back. "You're drunk." "No," he snapped suddenly. "I'm honest." Thunder cracked outside. He walked closer, slowly, predatory. "You need someone young," he continued. "Someone like me." My stomach twisted violently. "Stop!" His eyes moved over my body openly now, without even pretending to hide it anymore. "He'll die someday," Leo muttered. "Then what? You think all this stays yours?" I could barely breathe. "You should leave. You know where girls from your background usually end up?" He continued cruelly. Back on the street, struggling again. Tears burned behind my eyes instantly. "You don't know anything about me." "Oh, I know enough." He stepped directly in front of me now. Too close. I tried moving around him, but he grabbed my waist suddenly. Hard. I froze. Every nerve in my body screamed at once. "Let go of me." His fingers tightened instead. "I never saw you as a mother," he whispered near my face. No one would. Panic flooded through me so fast my vision blurred. I shoved against his chest immediately. "Leo, stop!" But he barely moved. He laughed under his breath and pulled me closer. The smell of alcohol on his breath made me nauseous. "You know how long I've thought about this?" he murmured. I pushed harder, my heartbeat deafening inside my skull. "This is wrong. I love your father." At the mention of Marcus, something changed in his face instantly. Anger, sharp and ugly. "He doesn't deserve you," Leo snapped. "He's your father. He stole everything first." Before I could react, he grabbed my arms roughly enough to hurt. I gasped in pain. "Leo, you're hurting me!" His grip tightened harder. Fear exploded through my chest so intensely I thought I might faint. I tried twisting away, but he shoved me backward onto the bed. The impact knocked the air from my lungs. For one horrifying second, my body completely froze. Pure survival panic. Thunder roared outside while rain hammered against the windows, but all I could hear was my own heartbeat screaming inside my ears. Leo climbed onto the bed, grabbing at my wrist again. "Stop fighting me!" That sentence snapped something inside me. Adrenaline surged violently through my body. I drove my knee upward with every ounce of strength I had. Leo cursed loudly, losing balance for half a second, and that half second saved me. I shoved him backward as hard as I could. This time he fell. Hard. I didn't think. I ran, barefoot, shaking, half sobbing as I sprinted into the hallway. Behind me, I heard him yelling my name. I nearly slipped on the marble staircase while running downstairs, my lungs burning from panic. The mansion felt endless. Every hallway blurred together. I finally reached Marcus's office near the back of the house and slammed. The heavy door shut behind me before locking it. Then I dragged a chair against the handle with trembling hands. Outside, footsteps pounded down the hallway. "Elena!" I covered my mouth to stop myself from crying out loud. My entire body shook uncontrollably. The doorknob rattled once, twice, then silence. I couldn't tell if he had left or if he was still standing there listening. My hands were so shaky I could barely unlock my phone. I called Marcus immediately. 1 ring, 2, 3. "Please answer. Please answer." The moment I heard his sleepy voice on the other end, I broke completely. "Marcus," I whispered through sobs. "Please come home." I stayed locked inside Marcus's office until sunrise. I barely remember those hours clearly. My body felt numb from shock, but my mind refused to stop replaying everything. The smell of alcohol on Leo's breath, his hands gripping my arms, the sound of the bedroom door breaking open. Every tiny noise outside the office made me flinch. Marcus arrived just after dawn. The moment I heard his voice downstairs, something inside me finally cracked completely. "Elena?" I unlocked the office door with trembling hands. The second Marcus saw me, his entire face changed. I must have looked terrible. My mascara smeared from crying, bruises already forming around my wrist, my oversized sweater hanging loosely over shaking shoulders. He crossed the room instantly. "Oh my God." His hands gently held my face while panic filled his eyes. "What happened?" For a few seconds I couldn't even speak. My throat hurt too much from crying. Then slowly, painfully, I told him everything. The comments, the touching, the nights outside my door, the broken lock, what happened in the bedroom. At first, Marcus stood completely still. Too still. The silence terrified me almost as much as the night before. Then I watched heartbreak spread across his face in real time. Not disbelief, devastation. "He did this to you?" he whispered. I nodded weakly. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment like the weight of it physically hurt him. Then came anger. Real anger, the kind that changes the entire atmosphere of a room. I heard him call Leo downstairs less than 10 minutes later. Leo looked exhausted and pale, but the moment he saw Marcus's face, I think he understood instantly that everything had collapsed. At first he tried denying it. "She's exaggerating." Then, "She wanted attention." Then, "You're really choosing her over your own son?" Marcus didn't raise his voice. That was the frightening part. He just looked at Leo with complete disappointment. "I defended you for years," Marcus said quietly. "I blamed your grief, your anger, your behavior." Leo stayed silent. "But you put your hands on my wife." The word wife sounded sharp enough to cut through steel. Marcus pointed toward the front door. "You're leaving today." For the first time since I'd known him, Leo actually looked afraid. Within a week, Marcus arranged for him to be sent to a strict military academy overseas. His bank accounts were frozen. The luxury cars disappeared. The endless money and freedom he used to threaten me vanished overnight. And the mansion finally became quiet again. Real quiet. Not the kind filled with fear. Months later, I still checked locks twice before sleeping sometimes. Loud footsteps still made my chest tighten unexpectedly. Healing wasn't immediate, but Marcus never rushed me, never doubted me, never once made me feel guilty for speaking the truth. And I realized something important through all of it. Leo thought my weakness was loyalty. He thought loving Marcus made me vulnerable. But in the end, my loyalty became the very thing that saved me, because I chose honesty over silence, and Marcus chose truth over blood.